I don't know if y'all are ready for this episode. I interview Luna Stower. I met her at Telluride Mushroom Festival, and we just clicked, we just vibed. She is a mushroom advocate, educator, master's in teaching, all on cannabis, psychedelics, mushrooms, entheogens, and we sit down and have a really fun and enlightening, inspirational, motivating interview. Luna is an award-winning educator, activist, and thought leader at the intersection of cannabis, psychedelics, and culture. With a master's in teaching and over 15 years of shaping the legal cannabis market, she is known for helping decriminalize entheogens in Oakland and for curating fungi and flora conversations at the Hyphae Psychedelic Conferences in both LA and Oakland. A major client of hers is a consulting firm at Champs trade shows, where she serves as the director of mycology. From the Emerald Triangle to international stages, she bridges legacy to legal with authenticity and edge. You might pick up on that in our conversation, making her one of the most sought after voices in plant medicine today. I am so excited to share this interview with y'all. We give you real tips, real advice on how to make a difference in your local community. We talk about decrim, we talk about why DARE program didn't work, and also you can just pick up the phone and call and make a difference. You can even show up and talk to any of these people in their office, and make a difference. Love is lucrative. She is the plug. Let's meet the plug. Please welcome Luna. Hello, Luna. Thank you for being on the Flora Fungi podcast today. Super fun meeting you at Telluride Mushroom Festival. And so, we're just kind of talking how you are within the mushroom space, but I think you're also in the cannabis space. So maybe give a little gist of who you are and how did you get into the flora and fungi kingdoms?
Nice. Well, I have been in the Bay Area my entire life. In 1996, we legalized for cannabis. So I've been smoking, selling, and growing it since I was in sixth grade. I'm 41 now. So I have been in this space for a long time. When I was in college, I was part of Students for Sensible Drug Policy and NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. So I've been doing policy work for a long time, and just have always loved this medicine. I helped my grandma go through cancer with it. I started using psilocybin in high school and later more in college. And, the hills of Northern California really taught me that cannabis isn't like an industry, right? It's a medicine, it's a livelihood, it's a spiritual practice. And I learned from OG growers. So it was all about preserving the, kind of how it was in Telluride, like seeing all of these people wanting to collect spores and forage and talk to each other about what they have found. It really reminded me of the early days of cannabis, and they've been preserving since long before legalization. I don't really use legalization. I put it in quotes because it's really commercialization, right? It's not decrim, it's tax control and regulate. They're two separate things. So when people vote for legalization, they're accidentally voting for taxing, controlling, and regulating it. They didn't realize that they were voting for official commercialization, which really just means Uncle Sam gets to control our drugs, which they're obviously are not doing a very good job of.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are our ancestral birthrights. These are our tools. They're for healing and expansion. They're not commodities. We know that, right? So, for me, mushrooms, cannabis, yahe, wachuma, DMT containing plants, they're all about bodily autonomy and sovereignty, medical sovereignty, control over yourself, connection with nature, and control over your body and mind, which the government's trying to take away right now from us. So, it's the moving into autumn. I just had my San Pedro cactus go into a huge full bloom. If people didn't see it, I posted an amazing video about it. We're having the times are changing with the eclipse just happening too. We're seeing, we're coming through a new moon. And so we're just harvesting all of our plants. I have a home grow. I'm a breeder and a geneticist. So honoring all of these cycles and seeing how everything's coming full circle is really what brings me to it. Obviously an educator too. Folks who know me know that I have a master's in teaching. I taught in public schools, prisons, jails, juvenile halls. I've worked in San Quentin, public schools, charter schools, and really mainly in humanities, but doing a lot of this work with parents and kids of, a lot of my students are I taught in the hood, I taught in Berkeley and Hayward, and a lot of these folks were immigrant kids, newcomer program, because I'm a bilingual teacher for Spanish. So really seeing how, plant medicine is interacting with youth and how to guide them through it. Because in the Bay Area, all kids are always smoking or around cannabis. So having a not dare approach and having someone that, acknowledges that it's a medicine, but also encourages them to wait till they're of age to do it, I really found that to be like a really useful intervention. So, I've been an activist. I've built a bunch of brands in the cannabis space. Some folks know Jetty Extracts and iSpire. I was employee number one at both, brought both to the place where they went public. They IPO'd on the NASDAQ and on Canopy on the Canadian exchange. So I really am an expert in brand building. Both of my parents, they met in an ad agency. They were both marketers. So my mom was created Safeway Select as the VP of marketing for Safeway. My dad helped launch early Apple and early IBM. So I grew up in the tech boom. I've been around it my whole life. It's Shana Tova for folks who observe the new year. We just had the year 5786, something crazy. So it's really interesting to see these larger cycles and these smaller cycles, and I'm just here for it. I'm just really enjoying, helping the natural world reclaim its place as our ruler instead of these religious institutions and financial institutions, pharmaceutical institutions, governmental institutions. This is our birthright that we've been co-evolving with for thousands of years. So even though I kind of bring conscious capitalism, I always say I'm a root in a suit, a rootsy person that understands you need to deal with institutional investors and spreadsheets and have conscious capitalism replace greed capitalism. I really believe is the way to do it. So it was great to be at Telluride. It's not like these, fancy investor conferences in cannabis that are a little bit more buttoned up and the people in the room are kind of looking to see how they can do business. I didn't hear one business conversation the entire week that I was in Telluride.
Oh, really?
There was some transactions, people buying substrate and stuff, but it was not in any way business cards and setting up a meeting and having assistants call and flying out for a facility tour and having an investor call. And I'm not trying to talk down on it. Like I said, we built an incredible industry of good people in cannabis that want to have, do it the right way. But it was very refreshing to see. But then again, everyone's struggling for cash. So there's this a little bit of this. It's if you want to just maintain and not really be able to scale and just stay community, that's beautiful. And you don't have to go into that mode. But if you really want to kind of take one for the team and get into rooms that you're not usually in and not comfortable being in to get some funding to get access to these plants for people, if we want this to replace SSRIs and Tylenol, and these things that we're going to have to do more than just nerd out in our little circles too. There needs to be, that's why thank you so much, KK, for doing this podcast. Media and education are the core and the crux and the movement that are going to change this. So thank you so much for having me. It's really, I've been looking forward to this since we met.
Thank you. Yeah, I like how you mentioned decrim, the dare thing. But before I move on to that, when I was at Telluride, I was bringing my friend Tyler Hacking, and he's all about monetizing mycology. So his whole idea was, I'm going to try to go to these business meetings, and there were a few meetups at one of the hotels. And so he was looking for investors.
The micropreneur.
Yes, the micropreneur, trying to monetize. So that, we've been kind of working on making mushroom maps and just trying to get funds to pay people, like us and just educators to go around like that. So yeah, that's why Tyler is there. So it was funny that you're like, I didn't hear any of that. And he's like, I'm only here for this. You do your interview stuff, but I'm trying to gather some funds for us and
monetize we need it mycology. All. It's not one or the other, right?
Yes, exactly. So I was like, I'll tackle this side. You're more of that side, and then we'll glom together. Exactly.
That sounds like a killer team. That's the way it's going to work for sure.
Exactly. You were mentioning dare though. What is kind of the difference of the approach of what you kind of do education wise with other people versus what dare kind of is trying to do?
I've been out of the classroom since I really formally entered the cannabis space. So I know that back then it was very limiting what you could do. It's in the same way that we're seeing these bans on social media. An administration, a principal, a lawyer at Meta, if your education seems to be promoting the use of an illegal substance, it is criminalized or it is censored. So it's all about the way that you do it, right? So it's responsible use. I would just say when you see your dad cracking a beer over the weekend and your 18-year-old brother rolling a joint and smoking it in the backyard and your mom taking her opioids with a glass of wine, those are all legal actions. So why would you judge your brother for consuming? Okay, let's take smoking out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Consuming an edible. Everyone in your family is consuming something. Why is the one that is consuming this plant or, microdose mushrooms being seen in a different way? So it's having kids know that it's to take away the fear mongering around dare, that it's a gateway drug and that it'll get you addicted to heroin and all of these things. Because, it's saving some kids' lives. Some kids, instead of being on Ritalin for ADHD or being on SSRIs, are taking mushrooms or other, Kana, some other things instead. And the parents are feeling way safer about that than what comes in an orange bottle and is led by things like Pfizer and Monsanto that have indemnification clauses where they cannot be sued or be held liable for anything. So it's kind of about shifting the narrative where we get to decide what's safe and what's unsafe, and also taking away that stigma, because I think once, especially urban kids, they're kind of woke now. They know about white supremacy. They watch the George Floyd stuff. They watch Black Lives Matter. They understand and have a language for these kinds of things. So when you tell them about prohibition and that in 1937 Henry Anslinger used images of Black jazz musicians and Latinos and brown-skinned Mexicans and specifically coined the term marijuana, which we try not to use because it is racialized. It is specifically using a Spanish word to hearken to this laziness, or like what they would accuse like this rape culture, because of course, their wives, the prohibitionist wives were going out to jazz clubs, getting high and having fun with these like charming Black musicians, and they're like, you're stealing our women, you're raping our women. It's like, no, they're just more fun than you, and more talented and like better looking. Sorry, like don't hate. But like that really was what it was. It was really just straight up fear and jealousy. Which is the same reason why we've seen the lynchings and all the things in our history. Is all you have to do is just accuse someone. And so I think that once kids understand that the basis of it, because my job as a history and humanities teacher is to look at history, and I'm a descendant of the survivors of the Holocaust. So I was taught from an early age, learn your history, silence is violence, speak up when you see things. That's why it's really important, that why you see me so loud. It's like, that's a huge part of when you're raised as a Jew, you're taught to raise your voice. That's why so many prominent activists and writers, in the United States have been Jews traditionally, is because that's literally in our laws, is to like stand for people who cannot stand. So, I think that was, kind of what I've seen kids really resonate with, is this concept of things being fair, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter what age a kid is, even us, like that's not fair. It's one of the biggest triggers is when you see kids lose their shit the most, is when things are not fair. And I think that in this kind of time of like global gaslighting with all of this like far right wings, hyper conservative messaging, there's this kind of gaslighting that we can't trust ourselves, or that we don't have any inner knowing, and that the things we're seeing right in front of us are okay. And when we know in our gut that they're not, we know what dehumanization looks like. We know what violent colonialism and state repression looks like. Like these are not new things, and it doesn't take a neuroscience scientist or a politician, a political science expert to be able to say that we are living in fascist times led by technocrats and oligarchs, and the powers that be are completely led by money. And so this plant medicine is something that is inarguable. It's inalienable. It is something that we've been, working with as a human species since the beginning of time. And I think that that's hard to argue with something in a country that's like literally like less than a quarter millennia old. We're like, 250 years old or something like that. We're reaching that point where they say all empires fall. At the 250 mark, it's a bell curve, and it starts to, that's when, whether it's the Roman Empire or any empire, they always militarize the streets. Like right when you see militarization against the people, that the people have lost faith in their government, and the government has lost control. So we just saw the gathering of all of those, the military and stuff like that. And they're coming into, and it's interesting, the cities that they're going into are very cannabis friendly, and a lot of them, they already came into Oakland and LA, both of which are decriminalized, have decriminalized entheogens. They are, they just entered Portland. They
Yes.
decriminalize a lot of things, even sex work. Like they're one of the most progressive cities in the world. And then
Yes.
and Chicago and DC also they also have decriminalization bills, and they're also very Black, brown, indigenous, feminist, progressive, and pro decriminalization of drugs. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think that it's a that it's a what's it called? Oops,
You're good on my
sorry,
end.
my bad.
You're good.
Yeah, so I don't think that it's a coincidence that this is
Yeah.
happening at this time. I believe that this is the dying gasp of an empire that is clearly losing
Mm-hmm.
control, and that the people and the witches and the herbalists and the fungi, flora, medicine people are really going to win this. And it seems dark right now, but this is how it works. It's always darkest before the dawn, and things always have their last grasp on things, and it's going to get really, really ugly to let people know where they stand. And then we're going to rise as a youthful, once the baby boomers leave power, we are going to rise. And the Gen Xers and the millennials and the Gen Zers and the alphas will all work together to like save the polar bears and restore bodily autonomy, because we want the nature. We are the ones that go camping.
Yeah.
It's not the boomers. The boomers are not the ones buying Patagonia. Like it's kids. Like kids are wanting to go out in nature because we've had it. Like we know that things have, that these lies have been told to us. So, this is how education is how we're dismantling these systems. Like we're trying to dismantle the stigma, build bridges between legacy and legal. That's really important too, right? Not leaving people behind, whether it's the Brownie Marys and the Maria Sabinas and teaching about the people who brought us these medicines, or the people that actually through the 70s, 80s, and 90s were getting their dogs shot and their kids taken away from them and sitting in prison for this, and some still are. So we're trying to, make sure that regulators and communities are in good conversations. I do a lot of lobbying work at the local, city, state, and, county and federal level, making sure that they hear as constituents, like we pay them. This is like, they work for us. When you go into their offices, it's office hours, and like you pay their salary, so they have to listen to you. And so it's really cathartic to know that there are democratic routes for this stuff. And I've been in city council meetings where we passed to decriminalize entheogens in Oakland. Like I've felt it, I've seen it. It took some work, it took some energy, but it's technically free. Obviously, you have to take off work, but usually these things happen after hours, or you can figure out ways to do it remotely. But I really encourage people to like lean into the few democratic faculties we still have left, considering they're shutting down most of the government, literally and figuratively right now.
Yeah, and do you really think like the generational change would be beneficial, or is it like since we're so money focused that's really like what's kind of in the way?
I mean, the thing is about this new world is the decentralization and removing of the petrodollar from the equation with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and all of these. Like, I don't think the youth is concerned about necessarily playing the stock market, or like they're looking at investing in real things like property, gold. Like I think that they're learning that love can be lucrative, that the B Corps of the world are actually making good money, and that they can have a job that makes them feel good, and that they're not raping the planet, and they can actually have savings for their kids or be able to buy a home, which has become, I bought the house that I'm in 15 years ago, which was like the last time you could really buy. I'm in California, and it's already tripled in value more. It's quadrupled in value. I got it for like less than $500,000, and my house is worth over $1 million right now. Wow. And it's not like anything I've done. It's just inflation.
Yeah.
And I got in at a 3% rate. My friend who just got a loan is at a 7.
Yeah.
I'm on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I'm paying $2,000 a month in mortgage. She's paying $4,000 for a 2-bedroom in the same city. So like I was the last, and I was able to get in with my sister. Like, that was back when you could put 10% down. It was like, okay, 10 grand from 4 people in the family. That's like a working class dream. That's manageable, to save up 10 grand over. I was 27, it was like, we could do it. Me, my sister, my mom and my dad could do it. We could throw 10 grand on a house that now gives me so much economic privilege, but that's not an option anymore for kids. Like it's not even an option for me. People are like, oh, you could sell your house for $1 million and go where? I live in California, live in the Bay Area. Everywhere around me is twice as much as my house for half the room. So it's weird concept of like keep chasing this carrot that's never
Yeah.
going to work. I mean, I'm doing work that my master's degree didn't. I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for schools and credentials that have nothing to do with really the education work that I do. So we're
Mm.
teaching youth to toe the line and get married and have kids. We're seeing that that's not working out for most people. So
Yep.
much divorce and regret and poor parenting and inability to afford them because of the price of groceries in private school because public
Yes.
school stuff now.
Yeah.
Buy a house, get a good job, even though most people have to work $200,000 a year jobs. Like I make really good money and I still have no savings and I don't spend like that. Like I
Mm.
know that like I know how much it's like the poverty line in the Bay Area per household. You need to make $150,000 total per household to be at a living wage. So if you're a single income
Whoa.
earner like I am, that puts a lot of pressure on you to make a lot of money. And so people are now cutting corners and
Mm.
swallowing their integrity and working for bad law firms or,
Yeah.
going to work for Amazon or doing an Uber job where you hate your employer and you resent them for being a soulless extractor of your value. Not to get too Marxist about it, but it really is like kids are seeing these lies. They're watching even us, I mean, I'm an exennial. I'm 1984, so I'm a little bit Gen Xer, but I'm mainly millennial. But like, we're in that weird mode where like they're watching us and they're like, damn, y'all really bought into this shit. And at the end, you could use AI to do all that anyway. Like, 10 years ago in the classroom, they told us to stop teaching penmanship.
Yeah.
Penmanship was not important. Being able to write, they already knew. And that was back when before even like when smartphones were kind of new, but it was still like on the keyboard. And they
Yeah.
already were like,
Yeah.
oh, texting is they say something like 90% of jobs that kids right now that are going to be graduating college over the next like generation or whatever don't even exist yet. They don't even have names. And
Whoa.
same thing with us. 90% of the jobs right now, and including the AI market, did not exist when we were in high school. Think about it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Digital ads, that was not a thing in the late
No.
90s. That was not a thing. So it's exponential, right? So I
Absolutely.
think that the youth is seeing and not only is our entheogens as an industry being able to generate wealth and outside of the system, but also the use of those things is helping developers solve problems. You see it in Silicon Valley.
Hmm.
Microdosing of LSD and mushrooms help them solve really complex problems and help them build the internet. I mean, there's
Oh.
tons of articles and research on this. There's a reason why MAPS and Lycos got the FDA trials passed. Like the shit works, and this isn't the first time the United States, watch How to Change Your Mind or read How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Like this is not the first time the United States has used MDMA, psilocybin in curing alcoholism, depression, suicidal thoughts, cluster migraines.
Yep.
So this is the time I think that kids are like, y'all are full of it. Like you cannot tell me like I sat out in that garden and ate mushrooms and the universe told me the truth and I will never believe your lies again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
You can't lie to the kids, dude. They know bullshit like immediately.
yes, heard, yes. And we might be talking about like misconceptions. So what other maybe common misconceptions that about plant medicine that people might also think about that you kind of find yourself
I think
re-educating?
like yeah, that like bang for your buck, highest THC, macro dose,
Oh.
heroes dose, like
Yes.
this, like it's like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Not sure that that's really going to push you through to the places you need to go. Psychedelics are not just for Silicon Valley biohackers, like I was just talking about. That's not all that they're for.
Yeah.
These are, Maria Sabina's people believe that actually unintentional use of Western folks without understanding the sacred nature is actually polluting their cosmosphere and
Ooh.
stopping them from creating a conversation with their ancestors and with the divine. And they actually believe that they don't work anymore for them because
Mm.
of overuse and unintentional use by the white man on dance floors and at festivals and not in a ceremonious way. And
Right.
they really believe that strongly. And you hear that across multiple different indigenous cultures,
Mm.
that since non-indigenous people have had access to these plants and have been doing, kind of like black magic with them in their mind, and so to speak, like not in those exact terms, but
Yeah.
they always say like if you play around
Play with fire,
it's
you're gonna get burned.
yeah, especially with anything intentional and prayerful, right? Prayerful
Yeah.
prayer is witchcraft, and witchcraft, if you put out a good spell, it comes back to you 10 times. If you put out a bad spell, it
Mm.
comes back to you 10 times. So,
Mm.
I think that these plants are like kind of the concept that these plants are new when indigenous people have been using and carrying this wisdom for millennia is
Yeah.
kind of insulting. And I've spent a lot of time breaking down this myth because I try to just like let people know, like, hey, this isn't a new trend, bro. Like, you're just waking up to it. Like, welcome to the crew. We'd love to have you, but don't act like you reinvented sliced bread, because you didn't.
Yes.
So this potency myth is like really a big one, right? Correcting the idea that stronger automatically means better, and
Mm.
reminding people that wellness, can mean a lot of things. It means that you're stronger, you're healthier, you're a better parent, right? That might mean that you're using some of these things while pregnant. Like, there's some women want to kill themselves while pregnant and swear by the fact that there is that there is a benefit for them. Or, people in my life have used it during pregnancy, used cannabis during pregnancy to stop cyclical vomiting that is way, way, way worse for the fetus than a little
Yeah.
bit of exposure to THC, which
Mm.
can help the mom sleep, which is the most important thing for a baby more than anything is rest. So
Interesting.
obviously, nutrition and stuff too, which
Mm-hmm.
when you're on cannabis, you have more appetite. So there's a lot of dispelling of the myths that, just same way that they were saying you have to be in your 20s or 30s to have kids. I have kids, my friends in their late 40s having perfectly happy and healthy babies. So there's a
Nice.
lot of myths that we've been told to kind of control us. And, this plant wellness doesn't have to be something that's serving us. We can serve it too. You can grow it in your garden. You can have conversations with it. You can help educate other people about it, and it will energetically give back to you. I think that's something that people don't realize,
Mm-hmm.
we're not using them to escape reality. It's about reconnecting to it.
Yes. No, perfectly put. That was like rapid fire misconceptions. I loved all of that.
There's a lot of them.
I bet you do so much, education. So you obviously probably started with cannabis and then you kind of went into mushrooms. So how do you separate them, or do you always kind of teach together, maybe depending on, who you're talking to or kind of the setting?
Yeah, you always want to check set and setting and read the room. But
Mm-hmm.
they are the exact same thing to me. They're both entheogens.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way that you use them, if I was working with someone as a friend who's dealing with actually trying to treat a situation, completely separate. Their energies
Yeah.
are separate, their use cases are separate, their vibrations, the way they interact with each other, everything. To me, it's like the difference between, like, I don't know, like a shot of orange juice and a shot of espresso. Like,
Hmm.
orange juice is going to like get your sugar, you're going to feel, you're going to get some nutrition. It's going to be sweet. You're going to enjoy it. And the
Mm-hmm.
other one is going to like dilate your pupils and change your heart rate and make you superhuman and make you able to do things. Like, I love OJ and I love espresso, right? But like,
Yeah.
one is going to fundamentally change the way your morning is, and the other one sweetens it and eases you into it and connects you with the orange. I just made that up. I haven't used that
Yeah.
before, but like, it's hard. It's really like I like, but of course, as a bevy girl, I have all of them, right? I have my sparkly water, my regular water, my oat milk latte, and my OJ when I'm brunching. Like, all of these entheogens have a seat at the table. They are all tools
Yes.
in the tool belt to be used, and it's about conversation with them and relationship building with them, so that when
Mm-hmm.
something does come up, you know which one to pull out of your arsenal, right?
Yes.
So, I think that storytelling is the most important thing, right? So when people hear about someone's grandmother, changing their sleep pattern, or helping their little brother stop their suicidal thoughts, or finding peace with psilocybin, that stigma breaks down faster than just like data alone. So when I'm teaching, I'm not
Mm.
just talking about, like, oh, it's not addictive or all these things. It's like, they're going to figure that out. They can Google that. They can read a Time article on that, but they can't hear anecdotes. Same thing with lobbying. When you walk in and you say, pass this bill, we don't want higher taxes. They're like, cool, whatever. And then you're like, oh, and by the way, the security guard outside of my local dispensary just got shot and killed. And they're like, what? And they have to like scribble it down because an anecdote about the lack of safe banking, not being able to advertise, not being able to actually have the kinds of funds to be able to pay for proper
Mm.
protection and things like that. Like, I've been there plenty of times where I'm just like, hey, can we like decriminalize that? And they're like, cool, we already got that. And they won't take a note. And then we're like, oh, and by the way, my friends just moved here from Texas because their kid has epilepsy and literally has 15 grand mal seizures an hour. And without cannabis, that kid would have permanent brain damage and they had to come
Yeah.
here as medical refugees. And they're madly scribbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've just had two conversations, one with my mom and one with my best friend from high school today, telling him to watch How to Change Your Mind, how, Take Me Out, Feet First is about assisted suicide. A friend of ours actually was the person that passed the law in Oregon. Our friend growing up, his wife was the one that was in a coma, and they kind of pair that choice around how to die with also choice around how to live, and also using mushrooms in end of life care. So the storytelling is really important, right? It's like whether and then obviously these are private conversations, but then you pair it with public education campaigns, community events, PSAs, local policy change, and you can actually start shifting the culture, right?
Yeah.
So there's visibility, and without visibility, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So it's like seeing women, elders, teachers, professionals, farmers openly using plant medicine and these systems. It shatters the stereotype that it's only for stoners or hippies or psychonauts.
Yep. That's very valid. Yeah. And kind of getting everybody, aware of all these different things really helps all the different peoples. I had this awesome story. You don't really know if it's true or not because it's this anecdotal, but somebody at the farmer's market was saying that she was blind in one eye and then she took mushrooms and she was like, for some reason, it was so overwhelming. Like I was so had a lot of anxiety. And she was like, yeah, but I could end up seeing in both of my eyes. And she was like, that's why it was so overwhelming. She was like, I didn't even realize that I could see out of both of them until afterwards. And I was just like, that is just one of those stories where you hope that it's, for real. And
I mean, it's definitely popped my ears when I've had weird sinus infections that were lasting for weeks, and you just yawn and pop it. And it's interesting because it really is the only thing known to mankind that can rebuild neural pathways in the brain. And some ocular stuff is not always in the eye. Sometimes it's in the brain. So that actually that's a perfect example of the unknown. You don't even know what it's going to do for you.
Right. Exactly. I know. Every time I tell that, it just gives me chills. So I was just like, thank you for telling me the story. And so she's like, thank you for being here. I know you guys aren't doing those types, but so yeah, we sell lion's mane. And we also have tons of people coming up and they're like, wow, I didn't know how upset in life I was until I started having lion's mane. And now I just am so much more outgoing and happy and move better, better digestion. So yeah, it's the husband always comes up and he's like, she needs her lion's mane. This is really funny. She's like,
I'm getting, ever since I lion's mane, I've gotten laid several times. Let's keep feeding her. Hey, cordyceps, reishi, all of them.
Exactly.
Stack them up.
Stack them up.
Yeah, and then also it's so funny that I feel like the mushrooms inside of us, or that mycelial nature, it makes us talk about them.
Yes.
I swear to God, it makes us talk about them.
Honestly, the amount of people that come up to our stand while they're on mushrooms, and I'm just like, I love that. You're just walking around a farmer's market
on brand. Perfect setting.
And so
gentle, collaborative people that work with the soil. Really, of all the social engagements to be in on mushrooms, it's during the day, not some loud, late, middle of the city, don't know where you are rave.
Yep.
And people who are patient and loving and gentle.
Yeah. So
we need that. Mushrooms want that.
Exactly. So
I didn't know you did a farmer's market.
Yes.
I love a market. I used to run the Santa Cruz County farmers markets. I started the West Side one, and I used to be the assistant manager of the farmers markets in college. So that was a farmers market is honestly lightweight, where the revolution is going to start, or where it always has. That's where little ladies are signing petitions to end the wars, and I believe that it's where else does the community gather on an ongoing basis that also benefits them. They're also able to get some stuff too. It's not just coming to a meeting and not eating. It's coming to a meeting with food.
Right. Yep. So buying your groceries, talking to the people in the space, just kind of getting to know. And it's a weekly thing. So it's, it's gathering and talking. So yeah, it's a really fun time. And so I work at different farmers markets. I'm actually hoping to take on additional markets coming soon. I'm moving to a new location near Tampa. So way more, opportunities to kind of take on different markets. So that's my main goal, trying to get into some of those other ones. But no,
maybe make your own.
Okay, now we're talking. I
and
like
centered
that.
around yourself.
Yeah, there's so many events. Like Pete from Cannadelic puts on stuff in this area. So I'm like, thank God I'm moving toward you. And he's like, awesome, perfect. This is
Oh.
this is where the all my friends are and everybody in the space is kind of in this little area. So I'm very excited about that. But I want to hear more about where you kind of speak at. What events do you go to? Now I'm intrigued. Where can people like find more of you and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Instagram, Luna
Okay.
underscore Stower, Stower. Yeah, I'm a consultant and an educator in the space. I help brands who are launching products or projects or their own companies, really from seed to sale. I've kind of done everything in this space from literally from seed to sale, you can name it. And I've worked in somewhere in the sector. So I'm speaking in Argentina at Expo Argentina on how love can be lucrative, how to tell brands on there as they're opening up for export and cultivation, how to kind of stay true to the culture as they expand. And then I'm going to be in Brazil for the largest cannabis event in Latin America, Expo Cannabis
Oh,
Brazil. I usually go to Spain every year for Spanibus. They just moved it from Barcelona to Bilbao.
Spanibus.
I'm usually at Mary Jane in Berlin every June. I
Whoa.
had to skip this last year because it was PS25 MAPS conference, but I was at MAPS. I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking down at a cannabis investor conference, Ignite on the 8th in October in Anaheim.
Wow.
And yeah, I just
You
MJ BizCon is one
traveling.
of the biggest. Oh yeah, and this is actually a light schedule for me. Actually, when I was with iSpire, I was probably going to 4 events a week. Like I was going
Wow.
between like continent hopping. I wasn't home. I was home for maybe 2 to 3 days a month for 5 years.
Continent hopping. Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
The weirdest ones were like Barcelona to Cape Town, South Africa. I did Munich, Germany to Argentina. I've
Mm.
done Colombia to Brazil, which I guess
Wow.
isn't continent hopping, but it's going from one side of South America to the other.
Yeah.
I've done, yeah, and then went from Cape Town to Japan. Went
Mm-hmm.
from I've been also
Wow.
been from Spain to Thailand. So yeah, it's a lot of these. There's too many events, and it's getting
Yeah.
quieter now that prohibition is really killing the industry. So no one has money to do them anymore. So it's definitely
Oh
chilled out
no.
my dog had cancer this year too. So I helped
Oh.
her cure her cancer with cannabis and chemo. I actually say she's on the weed and mushroom side. She was on a lot of turkey tail, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cannabis, RSO,
Yeah.
whole plant extract oils, so CBD
Wow.
and THC. So it was good to be home with my family after being on the road
Good.
for almost a decade for this plant. But yeah, really education and branding is huge for me. I'm really active on social because I feel like that's just the easiest way for people to get a hold. Not everyone can afford to travel or go to these
Right.
events. So
Mm-hmm.
my consulting is really about making sure brands don't just borrow the language of plant medicine, they actually live it, right? So it's
Okay.
like when I'm helping companies build internal education for their teams or like SOPs for bud tenders or any kind of like sales entities, it's really like marketing their truth, not just the hype. I think a lot of us, we like to go to the grocery store and buy based on the family recipe and where it was, crafted in one area and it's keeping something alive. You'll pay more for that. Are we really
Mm-hmm.
seeing that transfer into mushrooms and cannabis? I
Mm.
don't know. People are still buying spray packs and Mylar bags and not caring about it, but then they're paying $15 more for Manuka honey that doesn't harm the bees that comes from Kauai, and you're like super into that, right? So helping align their marketing with like accountability structures and equity and sustainability. The people, the plant, and the planet can all profit from this, right? We've seen a lot of people.
Yeah.
So this is like for individuals, I help them navigate the industry without losing their values too. A lot of executive coaching, just making sure that their messaging, their copywriting. I ghostwrite for a lot of executives that you see on LinkedIn,
Ooh.
without losing their values, showing them how to participate without selling out or greenwashing or mushroom washing. And most companies are really lacking solid marketing right now. They don't understand SEO, especially
Yep.
because a lot of us are still in the gray space.
Mm.
Content creation, social media strategy. We talked a little bit about bans and people just being really irresponsible and not hiring a real marketing person to actually look at their brand book and look at their and ensure that their SOPs are being followed so that they don't get their accounts taken down. We
Yeah.
all cry victim, me included, when this happens to us, but we're not keeping up with best practices. We are being willy-nilly and
Mm-hmm.
kind of biting off our nose to spite our face and just be like, well, I want to put it out there and screw the system for not letting me. It's like, what if we just did it smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of
Good
where I
point.
come in. It's just like this thought leadership, copywriting, and helping share this like sacred message of like
Mm-hmm.
plant medicine. So, like I'm a host at the MJ Awards or industry
Yes, I
awards
was
like
gonna
the
ask you about
Emmys
that
at
too.
MJ BizCon. It's a really cute event. Um, Yeah, it's really just we like to celebrate each other, like
Hmm.
Reggie Harris from Oakland Psychedelic Conference and Oakland Hyphae and Hyphae Labs. They do a competition every so often that is like this kind of like the Emerald Cup where it's just
Yes.
the best of, and you have really good entries, and instead of it being by judges, you just let the COAs, the certificates of analysis and the lab tests speak to it, right? So
Boom.
it's like I really try to do this work in Medellin. I've went to Colombia 3 times last year, and I've spoken in Berlin at ICBC International Cannabis Business Conference, in Spain at Spanibus Cannabis Hub, and so being able to address people in Spanish and English and stuff that's really also helped
Yeah.
be able to like kind of get the word out. So if you guys know of any Spanish speaking countries that want some support from someone who's had some experience launching a bunch of brands, I'm happy to help. But really, the most memorable moments, I feel like the things that, I would ask people to engage with the most are like just working with legacy growers, like go to farms, go to grows, sit with people who've been doing it a long time, smoke a joint with them, eat a cap with them, and like chill with them and listen to their stories. Like let them know that you care about them. And as you're doing your next, building your next, whatever microdosing app, that, these people come up to me after panels, and they thank me for carrying these
Oh.
stories into these rooms that they're not in. And that's the
Hmm.
fuel that should carry us all forward. Is like, it's not really about what I'm doing. It's like, what are you doing? A lot of people congratulate me for being a lobbyist or for winning awards. And I'm just like, I don't want to be so well known. Like, I just got told by 2 different people last week that they punched in looking for like a cannabis or a plant medicine consultant, and my name came up in Chat GPT, like, or in Gamma A, like the two different AI search engines. And I'm like, I love it. Thank you, Algo, for seeing me. I feel seen by the Algo. But Ani DeFranco says it too, my favorite artist. Like, she always says, like, the thanks I get from you should be doing the work yourself. I'm tired of being the feminist that goes to bat against these hoes. Like, you do you. I don't need to be the figurehead. Like, you do you. And I think that that's the most important thing, is like, stop canonizing and expecting someone to come save you and do that work for you. Like, you go to a city council meeting till 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night in
Yeah.
downtown Oakland. You think I want to be doing that?
Yeah.
Till 1 a.m. They push our issue till 1 a.m. every single time. I did it for 7, 8, 9 years every night, whether it was for entheogens or cannabis. I don't see any of y'all out there, not you guys, but like I'm like in the cannabis industry, I'm at lobby days. I don't see any of
Yes.
these fancy. I see Chrissy from Kiva at, and a couple other people in our lobby days in California and in DC, but all these flashy cannabis brands, they don't show up with us. They don't talk to the decision makers. They're not
Yep.
being loud. They're not leveraging their social platforms to actually do political work. They're skating through on their, I'm getting paid and I'm just going to keep my head down while I'm getting paid.
Yep.
That is not where, and they couldn't have even gotten there without Brownie Mary and these activists anyway. So it really obviously gets my goat. I get like, very heated about it, because I feel like it's really disrespectful and it's lazy. It's
Yeah.
intellectually and politically lazy to expect that you're going to be able to make a bunch of money off of something that you're not giving back to helping other people who can't afford it get
Right.
access to, or take people out of jail for being incarcerated for it. So,
Right.
yeah,
Dang.
I know it's frustrating, but this is why I built my consulting. This is why I'm like, okay, I'm going to, instead of be, upset about it, I'm going to be constructive about it.
Yep.
I'm going to create content around it, whether
Yes.
it's like education and training or business development or advocacy, all this stuff, like speaking, thought leadership, going to events, like it's going to look like a lot of different things.
Yeah. I'm like, what don't you do?
I mean, my 2 clients right now are like on opposite sides of the spectrum. I have Verdant Strategies, CPA. She's one of the best, if not the best CPA firm in cannabis. She only deals with cannabis. And so I do some biz dev work for them, and then I'm also helping launch Active, which is formerly ABD, one of the probably highest awarded of all of the like Emerald Cup. They're all of the oil that gets filled into their hardware gets judged for like 4 or 5 different cups. One was the California State Fair Awards, and every single time that there's a winning vape or a cartridge, it's in their hardware. So I'm helping them launch their hardware. So
Oh, nice.
I've been in vape for a while. I've been selling vapes I've been in the vape space for 11 years, from both extractor side and the manufacturing
Mm-hmm.
supply chain side. So
Wow.
they brought me on to do more like PR work. But yeah, that's like a huge spectrum, right? And like
Wow. Yeah.
certification programs to make sure things that are like safe to consume. I'm on a bunch of different boards.
Yes.
I'm on the NCIA DEI committee to make sure that our National Cannabis Industry Association is aware of all the things that we need in a diverse industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bunch of really fun stuff that I'm working on right now. It's a really exciting
Yeah.
time to be in this space.
Yeah.
And but my doors are always open. I'm still available for. I still have a few hours a week that I can dedicate to some projects. So if people need
Cool.
to bring anyone on, holler at your girl lunastower.com, STOWER.
Yes. I was about to say, can you plug your consulting business one more time and then where
Yep.
people can find you?
Lunastower.com, LUNASTOWER, like Luna's Tower. And
Cool.
Luna_Stower. I don't think I'm shadow banned on Meta right now, but you can find me that way. And you can see me. I'm judging the MJ Bowl. I'm in the middle of judging my concentrates. I was very high last night. I had to like sit down after all those dabs for the Farmers Cup, the Head Stash Bowl by Canifest. So yeah, I've been to 40 different countries. You'll see me all around the world. And you'll see me out lobbying and doing things. So join the cause, hire me for a project. Or if you want me to go out and speak on your behalf of your company at something like Telluride or some of these cool events, like just we want to see the space being able to subcontract different voices to be able to go out there and do some of their storytelling for them. You don't have to have a CMO on board, right? It doesn't have to be this fancy, expensive thing. You can throw a few $100 at something and have a lot of content that you can use for years to come. So definitely hire the consultants in this space. Check out the Oakland psychedelics. Hopefully you get Reggie Harris on here. He's a great host.
Ooh, okay.
Mary Carry on as well. I know she was just on the Psychedelics Today podcast. Just like incredible. Danielle from Lady Hyphae, Lady Hyphae, I should say. And Melissa from Twisted Tree. Bear from Pooh God, Colorado. These are all people that are fabulous human beings and know a lot. And I just love that from woman to woman in the mycology space. I'm wearing my mushrooms. I don't know if you can see all my mushroom stuff, but I'm trying to represent mushrooms to the world. And I believe that with all of us together staying positive and staying proactive and staying strategic, right? Not just sitting in our little silos and talking to each other. You have to get uncomfortable and have these conversations at Thanksgiving, have these conversations with regulators, like it's really, really important. So I really wish that people would, put a little bit more time and energy into doing things that aren't as sexy, right? Like being on social media and foraging out in the, maybe the most amount of likes you've ever gotten has been you being quiet in the forest foraging. That's really important work. I love that. But imagine what it would be like if they saw you, inoculating the garden in front of the Capitol with some spores or something. Like we need to be doing something a little bit louder and using our privilege, especially because I noticed that most of this space, it's very white and very upper middle class. And I haven't seen much privilege sharing or much talk about decriminalization. It's very much on this topical kind of like, it's a hobby and we're interested in it, but like there's this kind of, as we move forward and monetize it or build social capital from it, are we actually honoring the Maria Sabinas of the world who've had her entire, town, her house was burned to the ground and she died poor and destitute with people hating her because of this? Like, are we actually giving back? Same thing with cannabis. Is your company earmarking, X amount to work on, getting prisoners out of jail for this? So that's kind of my thing. Whether you're a micropreneur in the space or not, support brands that are doing good work and are not just extracting. They're not being run by someone living, in Costa Rica who just wants to like be a shaman. And you're like, well, where's this medicine coming from? Are you paying the people that, are they getting equity in the company, or are you just like paying the shaman $100 and you pocket $1,000? Like there's a lot of misuse of this medicine. There's a lot of sexual abuse and coercion by these fake shamans. So do some due diligence. I see a lot of people messaging about healing retreats, and I don't see the only people of color I see there are the ones giving the medicine. And when I ask questions, people get very defensive. And it's a big red flag. And these are just very simple questions. What is the payout structure like for them? I don't need to know how much they're making. Just tell me a percentage. Are they getting half? Are they getting equity in your company? Have you even thought about these things?
Ooh, yeah.
And if they're like, and like on these Signal app groups, I'm on these like 400-person Signal app groups, and people are putting up these AI posters for, the first 44 people to sign up for this retreat. I'm like, 44 people to sit with medicine, like in what? So I don't know. And then they
That's
get,
a
they
lot of
get mad at
people.
me for saying something. I had a couple of people hit me up offline. They're like, I don't respond on group chats, but thank you for saying something. And I'm like, I don't even engage on those. I'm usually just kind of like, it's like 300 unread messages. I'm like, go to the end of this and just see what the last one was. But
Oh,
I just wish that we did a little bit more work. Like I think we all are really lazy and we just do whatever's flashy on social and whatever's convenient, but anything that's sticky, anything where we need to stick our head out a little bit,
ooh,
anything that exposes us or makes us take a risk, people are like, "Oh
yeah.
no, this is just a hobby." Like, "Oh, this is just for fun." Oh, well, you weren't saying that when you were preaching sacred plant
Mhm.
medicine, talking to the divine. That's
Yeah.
serious, right? Right? Like when you're selling your products and when you're preaching about how it's helped you, you get real serious. But
hmm
when it's talking about lobbying or throwing down some money on a cause or
Yeah.
showing up to a courtroom for a black or brown sister that got deported, one of our friends in the mycology community is a Mexican citizen that was in the US under a legal visa, and when the visa rules changed, she was deported. And I didn't see that many people reposting that story. It was not nearly as loud as the
Uh,
cannabis community gets over some of our people when we get locked up. So I have been really, really disappointed by the lack of diversity and activism in the mushroom community. And I
mhm.
really appreciate people like you for giving a platform and allowing loudmouth people like me who say uncomfortable things to have a platform, because this is not a time for the faint of heart. This is not a time for armchair activism. If you're not actively making it better, you do not deserve to make money from these plants,
Mm,
Blanca.
yeah, that's perfectly put. What would you say, what like advice, or you were kind of giving some of those examples. What would you say for an average person to go to, these courts, or how can people help?
A phone call. Find out who your local representative is and say, I care about plant medicine. What are you doing to ensure that the residents of my city have safe and free access to psilocybin and cannabis?
Hmm.
Call them and tell them, I am concerned about this. I'm a constituent. That is something that you can write an
Ooh.
email. Emails are way less potent. In
Oh
person's the
yeah.
best
Yep.
than a phone call, because phone calls they have to manually have someone take it down. Emails they get a million of, and it doesn't move the
Yeah.
needle. But
Yep.
if that's all you can do, do it. It's better than nothing, because you are going to be a tally. Like this isn't for nothing. Like I thought that this was all BS until I actually started lobbying. And the way, like I told you, as they're scribbling down notes, like they're not faking it. Like that, their job is to
Mm.
figure out what their constituents need. Because here's what I learned: they cannot, even if they personally believe in it. This is crazy. I never knew this. They cannot argue for it if they don't have anecdotes. So
Oh.
if we're trying to pass the Safe Banking Act and no one has come to their office, no one has written, emailed, or called about it, they cannot vote on behalf of it because they don't
Yeah.
have the data.
Right.
So they are waiting quietly, hoping someone comes in and says what they already believe so that they can use that as the impetus to actually do it. So if you don't give them fodder to act on it, they can't bring this change forward.
Hmm.
It's the craziest thing. Like I said, I didn't know. Like I thought that lobbying was, we want you to pass this law. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for a year, and it's the same thing. There's two interactions. The first interaction is you say why you're there, and they go, yep, we know it. And they don't pick up their pen. I
Yeah.
swear on my mother's life, they do not touch their pen. The second you say, oh, and by the way, this happened in my community, or oh, and by the way, my family's going through this, or by the way, I
Mm.
have fibromyalgia and I had to leave the teaching profession because I was in so much pain and having migraines that took me out that I ended up having to leave something that I was so passionate about and have a master's degree and a state teaching credential to teach anything from kindergarten to college.
Damn.
And I cannot be in a classroom setting because of my disability. And you're telling me that I can't access this for an affordable price. They scribble.
Mm.
They go to the second page. And I talk fast. I have to slow down for these guys. They are literally taking handwritten notes
Yeah.
at the state and federal Capitol building.
Oh my
Nerdy
gosh.
21-year-old freaking aides. They're the cutest, most annoying things. They're literally there to buffer you from the senator. Now, I've been there when there's military, police, anyone, FD, anyone who's in nurses and doctors sometimes, religious people sometimes. The big lobbies like the beef lobby, they've been able to walk in without a well, usually they have appointments, but some of these people who don't have appointments, you're even we would have appointments, and if they walk in with a uniform, like they go into the senator's office and they close the door and the aide takes you out. Also, on to Scout's honor, 90% of the conversations that I've had have been with an aide in the hallway outside of the office, because the lobby of the office basically is like a waiting room, gets so full that you don't really get to see. They don't listen to cannabis people. We sometimes we get a senator, but unless you book it months in advance, and then they're like and then their lunch ran late when it's a Republican
my gosh,
senator.
I hate that.
But the aides are these like young, hungry, like they're like all excited to like be in Washington. That. And so they're like taking the notes. I'm like, yeah, you take that note, Alabama senator aide. These people with their oh my God, dude, I'm telling you. Okay, by the way, if you want to have fun,
I always
get high and do lobby day. Okay. Any day of the week, right now, it is 3 p.m. Let's say five, like a few minutes. You just can't bring in a gun. But even cannabis, we were able to bring in. I had like my vape pens with me. As long as you're not bringing in a gun, you can walk into any government building at any time, except for I guess the feds just shut down the House of Representatives today. But you can walk in and walk down the halls and go to a senator's office and walk in and talk to someone.
Oh,
any time of the day, it's open office hours. They work in those offices and they have someone outside at their desk, like in a movie, and you can walk in. And like I said, if you don't have an appointment, you're not going to talk to them, but you will 100% be seen by someone. You can get their business card with their direct line and leave yours. Leave a packet of information for them.
Ooh, okay.
Any day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's not a national holiday. You can do this we do it in California all the time in Sacramento.
That's awesome.
And in Sacramento, it's way more sterile and not as fun. But in DC, every state representative's office is decorated to how they like. Actually, no, one of the reps, one of our Latina reps in California is like Frida Kahlo'd out with like such gorgeous art. We like every time we're in there, we're like, oh my God, this is like the most gorgeous office. But you go to like Tennessee, there's literally a full alligator in like stuffed in it, like these overstuffed couches. And then you go to Montana and there's all of these big horned animals hanging on the wall. And like, it's like themed. It really is like, remember like in school, like it would be like everyone would like dress up their classroom for like Halloween, and whoever had the best whatever. It's like that. They go hard. And like California is like the California poppies and the surfing. And then one office just had all the pictures of the hostages. Like it was like someone random, like Connecticut or Vermont just had all of the photographs, like the hostage, like the release of the Israel hostage posters, like, and you're just in their offices.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's like Nightmare Before Christmas, where he like goes in. There's like there's like the Easter tree, and he falls into the Christmas land. It really is like that. You open the doors and like even just like their accents, even the aides are like, "Hey y'all," and I'm like, I'm in DC, but I am officially in Kentucky. And like, there's just you can feel the vibe, and obviously we love like the Oregon, and we love all the like the Pacific Northwest and all the hippie Democratic states. Like those ones are the ones that have like snacks and coffee and comfortable places to sit, and the Republican ones are just like you feel like you're in like a war museum. But honestly, I'm telling you, anyone can walk in at any time.
That's really cool to know.
Blows my mind still. Every time I do it, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I'm like, y'all work for us. You literally have to listen to me. You're getting paid. That's what you're getting paid for. Because if not, you're just sitting here like answering emails. So they're just
that's pretty boring. Yep.
So fun. Lobbying is honestly the most fun thing I've ever done. It like gave me life. And it actually was the first time I'd actually felt patriotic. I was like, yeah, our Constitution is the shit, dude. Like this country is worth fighting for, dude. Like
that's awesome.
They actually did build this for us to have a voice, for us to come against tyranny, bro. Like they actually carved out in the initial before, all three branches were, coalesced,
Mm-hmm.
there really was checks and balances, and there really was decorum and respect and poise and
Yeah.
professionalism in these interactions. And I've always felt really respected in those scenarios and very heard. And it's very cathartic for those of you who are not feeling heard, for those of you who are feeling like you're spinning your wheels and you don't know what to do. Go to a city council meeting, even if you just go in over the internet and put in a couple minutes over comments, Zoom. Be involved. We need your voice. It feels so good to be there on that night in Oakland where we decriminalize entheogens. The feeling in that room, people crying, people screaming, people jumping off balconies, jumping off little things to hug their friends. This was you can't make that up. You can't pay for it, and it's not going to be televised. I mean, it will, but
Yeah.
it's not going to feel the same, and it's going to be through the lens of the government. These are our wins. Let us have our small dubs. Let's put some
Mm-hmm.
dubs on. We get the L's. We know about the censorship. We know about the lack of commerce. We know about them shutting down our FDA trials that we were really close to with MAPS. We know about the, incredible rampant racism behind prohibition. We know it, we get it. We can belabor these points and problematize all we want, but we need solutionaries and solutionizations, not just problematizations. We just
Mm-hmm.
overcomplicate it. Where are the solutionizers and the
Yes.
solutionaries?
Yes. Normalize this. Why are we not normalizing going in and talking to, Congress and
Because we're
cities
scared,
council and
because we're told to sit down and shut up, and we actually do.
mm,
That's the worst part. That's the thing that's so sad, is that prohibition has trained us. You see it even with ICE. At some
yeah,
point, if you start interfering with someone being kidnapped off the street, you will absolutely be arrested too. And we see it. Some people push it to the edge, but other people don't have the privilege to be able to. They can't take a day off work. They have kids at home. They're a
right.
single parent. They're not documented themselves. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world where, it's people are only comfortable, that Aaron Niemelhoer quote, the first they came for the Protestants, but I wasn't a Protestant, so I didn't speak up, and then they came for me and no one was left. That's
Mm,
the story. It's it's
yep.
not, and that's why as a Jew speaking up against what's going on in Gaza right now, it doesn't matter, even if it's an inconvenient truth, even if it's a PR nightmare, even if you lose friends over it, doing
Mm-hmm.
the right thing will always set you free. Saying and doing things in alignment with natural law and with kindness and compassion, and leaning into the fact that we have supposedly become civilized and moved past our, kind of barbaric days. Be the civilized person that actually listens and believes in love and care, and not just devolves into just shooting people that you disagree with. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
a
Agreed.
really dark time, and I believe that plant medicine will lead us through this if we
Yeah.
utilize it with love and respect.
Yes. Thank you, Luna. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. You were an absolute delight, and I don't know if I've laughed so hard during an interview lately. So this was awesome. Love this interview. Love what you're
Gotta
saying.
add some stank to the message, baby.
I think people will definitely listen to this one, listen to you, and I'm down for this. I definitely want to help make a change, and I feel like you really made it clear and simple and straightforward. So thank you.
Absolutely. It really is that simple. It's
Mm-hmm.
just do something and you will get more out of it than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Well,
if it
thank
doesn't
you.
seem like it directly serves you, it absolutely does. Because
Yes.
all the lobbying efforts that I did just changed it so that instead of a 20%, a 5% tax increase for cannabis in the state of California, we went back down to the astronomically high 15%. So we are pulling back stuff that in the 2 weeks that law passed, going from a tax rate of 15% to 20%, 6 different retailers just in my own circle all closed their doors.
Mm.
So a lot of damage can be done. So my little voice going up there, when you see the win, you're like, I did that. If you looked at my LinkedIn post, I said, we did this.
Yay.
Not like we did it, figuratively, we did that
Did
shit.
this.
It
Yes.
would not have done itself. Gavin Newsom was going to take that money. You kidding? He wants that money to put into the CHP to police us. He wants that dirty money.
Mm-hmm.
But we ain't going out like that. 15%
Nope.
is already the highest in the nation, and it ain't right. It's
Yeah.
already too much. So
Yep.
that there's nothing more incentivizing and motivating than watching something that you fought for actually come to fruition.
Right. Right. That
That's the
doesn't
power
happen
of
as much.
activism.
Yes.
What's that?
I said that doesn't really happen that much. A lot of people don't really see a lot of, things happen because of our actions in a positive way.
And that's why we stop. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, awesome. I'm way more inspired and more motivated. So thank you, Luna, for being on.
My job is done.
Yes.
Thanks for being the plug.
Thank you. We're meeting the plug right here. Thank you.
Hey.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Please go follow her. Go check out her consulting business. Please go tell Luna she's doing a good job. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, what are you doing? I'm going to call your boss on you and get you in trouble for not subscribing to the podcast. Also, if you wanted to donate, if you wanted to help my GoFundMe, if you want to join my Patreon, you can do that also. All the links are down below. You can just click away at them and you can make a difference in my life, in Flora Funga's life, and let's support education. Let's monetize mycology. Let's fucking do it together. All right, well, I'd love to stay in chat, but I gotta go call Congress and schedule a date. Peaches.